Hi everyone, welcome back to the Luxy Hair channel. My name's Istiana, and today's video we're going to be talking about the question of how often should you really wash your hair? Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to the Luxy Hair channel for all things hair care, and let's jump in. Okay, so when it comes to answering this question, there really is no one size fits all and there's no right answer. It really depends on a lot of factors, such as what is your hair type, how thick your hair is, what your environment is like, what's your lifestyle. So let's jump into a few of those factors and sort of narrow down what would be the right amount for you. So first, let's determine how thick your hair really is. And if you haven't really thought about this before, a great easy test to figure this out is the STRAND test. And what you do is take a single strand of hair between your two fingers, and if you can't feel it at all, then you have fine hair. If you can feel it, you've got medium hair, and if it feels kind of coarse and rough in your hand or between your fingers, then you have thick or coarse hair. The second test you want to do is to determine how healthy is your hair. So what is the state of your hair right now? And how you can do that is the stretch test. So again, take a single strand of hair between your two fingers and stretch it out like this. If the strand breaks immediately, then you know that you have some damage going on and not a lot of elasticity, and we need to improve it and make it a lot healthier. If it stretches almost like an elastic, then you know that your hair is in good condition. It's got a lot of elasticity. That's a good thing. So if your hair is more in a weak state and it's prone to breakage, then something to consider is how often you're getting your hair wet and brushing it while it's in its wet condition, because that is something that contributes to that breakage. So washing your hair very frequently may not be the best idea if your hair is very weak. Side note, you should also watch our video down below on what to do if you do have damaged hair or your hair is kind of weak right now, how to prevent that and how to strengthen your hair. And the next thing that we use to determine what the state of our hair is and how many times we should be washing it per week is to look at our environment and lifestyle. If you're someone who works out a lot and you are sweating a lot, you definitely want to be washing your hair more often, because you don't want to have sweat and dirt and grime build up in your glands. If you've got a lot of sweat build up in your scalp and you're not washing it, that can lead to your pores being clogged, and then your hair is going to end up being very prone to breakage. The same thing goes for your environment. So if you're living in a busy, kind of dirty city where there's lots of air pollution, lots going on in the environment, you'll probably want to wash your hair a little bit more than someone who's living in like a more open, clean space with less, pollutants in the air. So now that we've determined what factors contribute to how often we should wash our hair, let's talk about, depending on what your answers were, what that should be. So people with fine or thin hair usually have more oil glands and find that their hair gets much oilier and greasier faster. So contrary to popular belief, washing your hair more often than not as someone with fine hair or more greasy hair is actually better. A lot of people think that it's bad to wash your hair every single day, but this is not always true, especially if you're using high quality shampoos and conditioners and you're being extra careful when it comes to drying your hair. So not exposing your hair to, roughly brushing your hair right after you come out of the shower, not blow drying it every single day, not using hot tools every day. So as long as you're taking extra care when your hair is in its wet, fragile state, if you're washing your hair every single day, that's totally fine. Again, there's so many different factors that come into play here, so not every single person with thin or fine hair, what works for one person might not work for another. You can be the judge for yourself of what works for you, but in general, daily is a good idea here. Now, if you have medium thick hair like myself, I usually go 2 to 3 days between washing or using shampoo on my hair. Kind of a general rule of thumb, the thicker your hair is, the longer you can go without washing it. But again, you want to make sure that you're looking at your environment before sticking to sort of a rigid schedule. And if your hair is visibly oily, or you're finding your scalp is flaking due to debris buildup, or you're experiencing scalp itching, then it's a sign that it's time to wash your hair. So if you have thick or coarse hair, then usually you could go washing your hair, 1 to 2 times per week. And the biggest reason why this is because it takes a lot more time for the excess oil in your glands to travel down the rest of your hair, making the rest of your hair greasier, oilier. It takes a lot more time than it does for someone with fine hair. That oil is traveling a lot quicker. Now let's talk about what actually happens if you are underwashing your hair. Similar issues can come up to your scalp as your face if you're not washing it enough. So if you're not washing your scalp enough, excess oil, pollution, dead skin cells, dirt, product buildup, that accumulation of all that stuff on your head might cause scalp itching, irritation, visible flakes, and it's gonna affect the rest of your hair below it. It's not all that uncommon where some people will find that they have very greasy, matted hair on top, then the bottom of their hair, the rest of their hair is very dry and even tangled on the bottom. It's definitely not something that you want, so if you're experiencing that, then maybe you should up the frequency of how often you're washing your hair with shampoo carefully crafted for your condition. Now on the flip side, if you are overwashing your hair, that's also not a good thing too. We want to go for the Goldilocks middle balance. Washing your hair more than once a day, unless you're sweating a lot, is usually unnecessary, but it's not actually the washing of your hair that is causing damage, contrary to popular belief. What actually is the treatment of your hair when it's wet and in that fragile state. Styling after your hair, after you've gotten out of the shower, if you're brushing your hair while it's wet or using hair dryers or pulling on it, all that manipulation causes your hair to weaken. So you always want to be extra gentle with your hair when it's in its wet state. It's also a good idea to invest in shampoos that nourish and replenish the nutrients in your scalp. And of course, be sure to use conditioners or hair masks to help prevent any style-related damage. Now let's talk about, is there actually a right way to shampoo your hair? Here's a few tips. A good way of thinking about shampooing your hair or washing your hair is using the term scalp cleansing. So instead of focusing on shampooing like the bottom of your hair, if you just concentrate the product and focus on washing your scalp on top, well, when you rinse out your hair, the suds will, rain down through your hair, and that's usually enough to cleanse the actual individual strands themselves. There's no need to sort of rub your hair together and try to wash that part of it. Rubbing your hair together causes unnecessary friction, makes it very easy for your hair to tangle and become weak. To really just concentrate that cleansing on your scalp, and you can gently massage the product in. You also want to make sure that your hair is fully wet before you apply shampoo, so you don't want to put shampoo on dry hair. If it's one of those days where your hair just feels extra dirty and you've had a really great workout, or you are in a very humid city, don't be afraid to double cleanse and reapply the shampoo to make sure that all of that debris is actually washed out. But in general, one shampoo is usually enough. Lastly, let's talk about how to extend the time between your washes. So if you are someone that's trying to extend that time because washing your hair every single day is not necessarily the best for you, or it's a lot of effort and time to wash your hair every single day, and it's really annoying to have greasy, oily hair all the time. So of course, dry shampoo here is one of our best friends, and this is an easy way to re-energize your hair as you're going between washes. But you can also use dry shampoo as a preventative step. So kind of get ahead of that oil that is coming. You can put on some dry shampoo before you go to bed, and the product or powder will absorb that excess oil overnight. So it's all about being proactive about preserving your style. And even though you're not washing your hair every single day, it's not the equivalent of not taking a shower every single day. So I do recommend still bathing your body and washing that. And on those days, and you don't want to get your hair wet, just throw it up in a gentle bun with a fabric or silk scrunchie. You could also use a shower cap if you prefer. Okay, that's it for today's video. I hope that gave you some answers and some guidance on how often you should wash your hair. Again, it's going to be different for everyone depending on so many different factors, but hopefully this gave you an idea of where to start. If you liked this video and found it helpful, give it a big thumbs up, and make sure to subscribe to the Luxy Hair channel for more hair care and tutorials, and we'll see you next time. Bye!